Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rob,
I'm Piper.
and this is a very, very special episode of Piper's Notes.
Very
We've been awake all night last night waiting for this one. As you know, we're in the NWA family, and this is a great time to be a wrestling fan. There's a lot of great stuff going on out in the world, but in our household, we only recognize one man as the world's champion, and that is the dealer, the national treasure, Nick Aldis, who is our guest today. How you doing, champ?
Hello, Stinsons. It's always good to hear from you. Let me just start right off the bat. How impressed I am with how professionally dressed you are, and also managing to represent the brand at the same time. It's just, I wish that every wrestling fan could live up to your high standards that you set. I mean, not just in terms of your presentation, but also in terms of your philosophy.
Well, I appreciate that. You bring something that's been missing for a long, long time. That prize fight, that big epic event tenor to the company, and you've really elevated the NWA, and we appreciate that so much. You're respected in our house, and you always will be. But we are not here today to talk wrestling. We're here to hang out and
we're here to just hang out like normal people.
And
that are in quarantine.
Whoa, normal people.
What's
that like?
We're going to listen to some rock and roll today with the dealer, and we have been poring over videos. We love all manner and genres of music. Piper's got a very wide taste of music.
Yeah, I like theater, and that's mainly why I like rock, because it's a lot kind of like the theater.
Yeah, it is.
And then that also makes me like wrestling, because wrestling is also kind of like theater.
That's right, and our champion has got a background in theater as well. Has done some things. I think you posted some stuff on social media a few days ago.
let's call it. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, I think calling it a background in theater might be being a little kind. It's some of your listeners might be familiar, but there's a sort of subgenre of theater in the UK called panto, where basically every year at Christmas time they put on special sort of stage adaptations of children's nursery rhymes, and part of the sort of, it's will be a very big part of British culture for everyone to sort of go to the theatre and watch a panto during Christmas time. But the sort of the unique element of it is that the cast is usually made up of obviously professional sort of stage performers, but also with a handful of sort of celebrities or pseudo celebrities or sort of, well-known personalities, or in my case, notorious personalities, put in certain roles to sort of, for that sort of novelty factor. Almost, I sort of describe it almost like almost along the lines of an SNL type thing, but it's not improvised. Obviously, I mean, you have to work hard. We have to, we have 2 weeks of rehearsals, and there's, choreography and direction, and obviously like a lot of that. But there's a bit of wiggle room for a bit of improv, and it's very crowd interactive, which is why actually wrestlers lend themselves really well to it, because we're able to think on our feet and interact with the audience, and
right.
I mean, on any given night, and a lot of the time, someone in the cast will also be a stand-up comedian, so of course they're really, really quick-witted, really able to sort of pick up on little things, because we, unlike other theatre, panto, you sort of encourage the audience to shout out, and there's all sorts of things like, oh, he's behind you, like, where, what, like, and all this kind of thing, and it's very, very much about kids. But the good ones, the ones I've been involved with, have been very good, very well written. They're designed for kids, but the writing has sort of subtle kind of adult humor kind of thrown in there to kind of keep everybody on their toes. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But the one I posted the other day was from Aladdin, but I've actually been in two. The first one I did was I was the huntsman in Snow White back in 2009. So
do you get back to King's Lynn very often? I'm assuming you still have family there, and you take Donovan and Nikki.
I do, yeah. Obviously, current situation notwithstanding, yeah, I usually try to go about 2 or 3 times a year if I can.
Right.
It's obviously it's to do with schedule pending and things like that. But yeah, it's it's important to me to get back. I get homesick, you know. That's the reality of it. I mean, I've been in America for 10 years, but there will be moments where I'll just sort of get to a point where it just hits me, and I sort of go, God, I really need to. I just want to go home and just sort of be where I'm familiar, and you know. I love Tennessee, I love Virginia, I've lived in Florida, I love Florida, but it's, you know, it's not home, you know, for me, sort of, England will always be home, so I like to get back at least 2 or 3 times a year, and obviously, because my mum and dad are there, and they want to see Donovan, and go, that kid's got more frequent flyer miles than a lot of adults at this point. He's flown that much. He's been doing it since he was a baby. Like he kind of gets it. He's like, yeah, cool. We settle down. I get my iPad. I get whatever, and just chill. So yeah, we're very fortunate.
My wife was born in Ipswich, England. Actually, she's a military brat, but she held dual citizenship until she was 18. And then in the United States, I don't know how it is in the UK, but in the United States, they make you decide at 18. You know?
Yeah.
But I share that same philosophy. We're all educators. My wife moonlights as she has been an educator. We actually met at the school where I am an administrator at. So it's a long story. But
do you have any music that you guys like in your house?
I personally have a very eclectic music taste. I mean, honestly, I'm not really a music snob. I don't have a particular genre that I sort of lean to more than any other. You know, the reality is that if I like it, I like it. I don't really have if it's a pop song, I'm like, great. You know, I've been known to rock out to everything from Metallica to Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? It's just if the sound hits my ear the right way and I like it, then that's it. But on the whole, you know, my wife obviously has a separate music career, and so she sort of leans towards sort of country and southern rock and stuff, and that's, you know, it's a genre that I wasn't that sort of familiar with. But there are even in that there are certain artists and certain songs that really grab me. I'm actually more of a fan of sort of older country, like from the 70s and 80s and stuff than current. But you know, like I said, if the sound hits my ear the right way, then I'm all for it.
Well, we have picked out a music video to hang out with you and watch with you today. I think is one of the greatest music videos. It's one of my favorite bands. We love this band. Piper. I've got my daughters, my 18-month-old Petra. She's already all about it. Piper is so eclectic. It's kind of like you are. She's got to feel it out, and in most cases she accepts it. You know, this is a band we really love. It's a band called Killswitch Engage, and this video we picked this because we felt like it might remind you of King's Lynn a little bit. And so because King's Lynn is a medieval town. That's right. Yeah, I saw your.
We drink mead and we trade goats for our groceries. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, I have to. Before I see this song, I must ensure before we go any further that Piper is familiar that this is a cover, and who was responsible for the original of the song. We making sure we're covering those bases.
We try our best to do our homework.
Right. Good. I mean, of course, you're educators, yeah. But when I saw it, I said, "Oh, this must be a cover of Dio," you know. But yeah.
So you know Dio. That's great, man. Of course you know Dio. We feel like because in our profession, there's only a handful of people that share our love for wrestling. And now our school. Don't get me wrong. I was at the feeder school. I've been with my kids for 8, 9, sometimes 10 years. I was at the middle school campus at the high school. So we shared this musical and pro wrestling bond. Ridgeland High School is probably the most NWA-centric school in America. I mean, my kids in school know the NWA. They know Nick Aldis. Obviously, you saw the video that we produced for you on day 500. But we don't have a lot of people that share a combination of taste and love for heavy metal and pro wrestling like we do in our household. So,
wow.
But let's look at this video. What I'll do a little countdown, and then 3, 2, 1, and 3, 2, 1, go. We'll hit it. All right.
All right. I'm going to leave one ear open so I can hear your.
Sounds good. 3, 2, 1, and go. There you go. King's Lynn, right?
There it is. Yeah, there's King's Lynn, my hometown. I wonder when they filmed this, because I recognize a few of the people in this, but unfortunately, many of them have passed away since, because being a medieval town, we still haven't got to the point where we're curing syphilis and all those other ailments that took people out in the 1600s.
Burning witches and whatnot. Of course, we burnt witches too. But...
Well, I don't want to get into George politics, but King's Lynn might be more progressive than Georgia. I'm not sure.
It might be. And we've got Gary Horn there sitting on the.
Gary Horn.
There's Gary. He's working on his paleo diet there. No carbs.
Yeah.
Now who's this? Is this?
Like Dracula.
We've got a sleeping beauty here on the table, or
I love
something to that effect.
Oh wait, this one's got a sidebar.
I know a few wrestlers that are looking up to a few chicks that look like that.
So they're smelting the swords there. I imagine maybe some Excalibur, King Arthur references here.
Now you might be. No, I know that before I might have looked like I was taking slight offense to you saying it reminded me of King's Lynn, but I have to say honestly, up until I think maybe only a few years ago, there was actually a working blacksmith still in the village where I grew up.
I remember seeing an episode of 10 Pounds of Gold where you're going through King's Lynn and there's the gate there from the 15th century.
Yeah.
Oh, Jawas. Jawas. Star Wars reference.
Oh, he must have the new Facebook video messaging thing. See now he's moonlighting as a real estate agent. As he's coming to show. I'm showing this property today. It's a very, very good price point for the location. Not a lot of that natural light due to the fact that there's no windows. But if you can live by torchlight, this place might be ideal for you.
These guys all have like fabulous hair, except for the lead.
With the exception of the lead singer, every single one of these would seem to fit the perfect description of a typical wrestling fan currently. In fact, I mean, some of them, with their neck beards and their scraggly hair and their physiques, they could probably be wrestlers at this point.
Yeah. Was it old Josephus before the
Special
hair match?
effects A+.
Oh, you talking about the little dark cloud there?
Special effects A+.
That's like Jack Black right out of high.
Someone needs to tell the bass player there to join us in the 2020s here with those mutton chops.
Special effects. Storyline A++.
I have to say, for all of Gary's foibles, he's got a bevy of beautiful women around him in this.
That's right. Yeah.
This situation wherever he is.
I never knew Gary Horn cameoed in this video.
And he plays drums.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, first time I saw this, it's not the first time I've seen this video, I was like, man, the redhead chick, she's not bad. And then I saw the chop. I was like, oh.
And then she also has chest hair.
It could double up as maybe they're doubling up as a pharmaceutical commercial for some sort of hair removal product. This would be the point where all the disclaimers would come in. This could cause vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, loss of sleep, could cause certain patients could suffer from cancer. You could die.
You could die, yeah.
Try it today.
There we go.
Very good.
Engage covering Holy Diver. Love that video.
It was imaginative.
Little taste of nostalgia there for the champ.
I like the special effects. The special effects got me.
I felt like it was like they used the absolute most basic editing studio, like whatever came out, like iMovie or something. There's nothing wrong with iMovie.
Yeah.
But the special effects got me there because they were so simple, like me.
They might have been able to throw that over to Dave Lagana, and he might have been able to jazz that up a little bit.
Right.
I wonder if there's some symbolism in the video, about perhaps it's sort of about about regret, for waking up hungover and having some regrets about your choice of bedfellows. Who knows? There's always some deep rooted symbolism in these things. I don't want to get too far into it. We've got a minor in our presence.
Yeah, somebody was advising this band in the production of this video, and they were saying, "Hey, this is what we want to convey," and all. So
I've got a great idea for a theme.
We'll put the redhead chick with the sideburns, and that will sit. Yeah. They're gonna love it.
My guess is that there was some herbal medicine involved in coming up with the concept for that video.
Probably.
Piper, hold your ears.
Yeah, earmuffs. Man, well, hey, we've had a great time. Again, we appreciate you for joining us here for a few minutes and hanging out with us today, watching some rock and roll with us. And
no worries.
Again, I know that you're very, very busy. You've got some events planned for today. It's also Tuesday, so we've got some NWA programming that Madonna's playing for us tonight, hopefully. And
speaking of which, I can give you a little bit of inside info here if you're interested. I actually spent all day yesterday shooting some new exclusive NWA content with Tom Latimer and Crimson, and some of that will be coming up very, very shortly. I think you guys will be I think you'll find it very entertaining. We tried to cover some topics that that haven't really been discussed in that much depth as far as like all the different podcasts and stuff that I've done over the years and things like that. They kind of tend to follow the same things, but this we did a deep dive on some of our early incarnations in the wrestling business and had a little bit of fun looking back at some of our less successful attempts to be notable in the wrestling business.
Awesome,
I think you might be interested to see it.
We've been pleased every Tuesday, man. Every Tuesday, we're like, what's Lagana got for us today? And we've been pleased every.
We've had a couple of meetings recently with Lagana and Billy and myself, and we've sort of hammered out kind of a strategy for some really good stuff. I think our fans are really going to enjoy. So
yeah, I think so too. Well, Champ, we know you're busy. We don't want to eat up more of your time. We thank you so much. Again, the Stinson House is Nick Aldis country. We are big fans, and we appreciate all that you do for the business, for the company. And there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of great personalities. We're big fans, but we think that you are the one essential component of the NWA right now. And you have almost by yourself, along with Tim Storm, elevated our brand and brought it back to prominence. And I think later on this week, Gary Horn and I got to do a podcast with Brian Solomon from PWI a week or two ago. It might air Friday, but we're defending the world title status of the NWA before Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Not that we need their blessing, but I think we did an able job, and hopefully you'll get a chance to give that a listen.
Okay, I will keep my ears out. I have some respect for Brian, so I'll be willing to.
Well, he's an advocate, and I think you have an ally in Pro Wrestling Illustrated in Solomon, so for sure.
Yeah, they've been very good to me over the years. I think I was awarded most improved or something one year or something like that, and we got moved. And then obviously the 500, which you guys take way too seriously, but it's always it's nice. I made the top 10 once, so it's nice.
I think the last 2 years you have. I think you're 9 this year, which is to me is very conservative. You should be higher than that, especially since a couple of guys that hold major title status are ranked below you on that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about
nice of them to recognize.
Again, we thank you for joining us.
It was a great honor to have you here. Great.
Oh, thank you very much. It's my honor, Piper.
All right, guys.
One day, when you're a huge star, I'll be able to point back and say, "Look, I did one of our first shows on a YouTube green screen."
Ladies and gentlemen, the world's heavyweight champion, Nick Aldis. Thank you, champ.
Peace out.